Oh, good morning. It's Tuesday. Now it's showing 9:45. I've been out here about half an hour or so, sorting parts, getting ready to put things together. I've got the timing cover back from AMR, and I've got everything laid out here, and I'm going to talk about all this stuff. Okay? Let's see. First thing, let's go over to the other side of the bike, and I'm going to talk about accumulated gasket material, gasket sealer, especially on Norton timing covers and Triumph primary covers. Once these covers have been on and on, off and on, I don't know how many times over the years, excessive gasket sealer will get into the holes and accumulate at the bottom. And when you go to screw the screw in, you're bumping up against old gasket sealer, and so you're tightening, and you never really get tight because it doesn't compress that well. So what I do is I take a drill bit, something smaller than the hole, and spin it like this. And once you've done that, you'd be amazed at how much gasket sealer comes out of these holes. Unfortunately, I already did this when I took it apart, so I can't show it to you. But I mean, it's been like 1.5 pounds of old gasket material down here at the bottom. And you do this, and you just pull it out, and all these holes, every one of them, need to be cleaned out so that the screws don't go in and bottom out on the accumulated gasket sealer that's in the bottom of these holes. All right, so be sure to do that, especially on Triumph primary covers. Boy, oh boy, you can get 1.5 pounds of stuff out of those. And worthwhile, just keep doing it, and then use CRC to spray it in there and clean out the holes. And that way you won't be bottoming out against the screw. It's the screw against the crud that's in these holes. Okay, that's step first. That's first and foremost. Okay? And these, why not? They're clean. Okay, first and foremost, clean out all the holes. Second and foremost, the oil pump gasket, they say put it on dry. Frankly, I always put just a feather thickness of sealer on it. What they don't want is so much it put on here that it gets in the holes and screws up the oil flow. So we'll put it on dry. Let's just say we're going to put it on dry. Third and foremost is these studs go in with the coarse into the engine and the fine out, but they're always dirty, so clean them. Fourth and foremost, these nuts, way back at the beginning, used to be self-locking. You can see the indentations there. They're not anymore. Fifth and foremost is the later models used star washers under a special dished, rounded nut that went into a rounded hole here. This pump didn't have any washers here, so I'm putting these star washers on underneath the stock nuts. But before I do that, I'm going to reinvigorate the locking feature on these nuts. See that there? That's sort of an indentation. I'm going to reinvigorate that just a little bit to make them into what they were, which is a sort of semi-locking nut. Let's talk about that. I'm going to get set up over here. I've got the tripod, and we're going to do some work over here. I'm going to put this in the tripod. I'll be right back. Okay, so these locking nuts, way back in the beginning, had this indentation here. It was mushed. That's a scientific term, mushed. And over the years, as they were put on and off, the mushing has gone away. So we're going to remush them just a little bit. Not a lot, but just enough to say that we did, okay? And what we're going to do, what we are going to do, excuse me, is take a chisel and put it across these flats here, like this, get it down flat, and just give it a smack. That puts a little dent there. Now let's do across these flats just for the heck of it, nice across way. Okay, let me show you what I did. Basically, I smushed it a little bit. So when it goes on, that's going to sort of act like a sort of locking nut now. Let's do the other one. Well, this is only good for one time. I mean, as soon as I put these on, the smushing will go away. And the next guy, 20 years from now, will either have to smush it or use some other type of self-locking or just not care. There we go. All right, so they are both re-smushed. All right, let's talk about the cover. The cover's been modified. I'm not going to show you anything about the modification. That's proprietary to AMR. But what I do is I take the screws and lay them in backwards, making sure that I have all the long ones in the proper places and the short ones in the proper places with enough thread showing so that they will grab once you put them in there. So when this guy goes in, for example, from this side, he'll have a goodly amount of screws, threads, okay? So you got to put the short ones in their short holes and the long ones in the long holes, like so, in order to get enough threads into the cast, like engine, casting of the engine, right? That's one thing. The other thing is, let's go put this down, and then keep track of the nuts and bolts as you do it. Let's see, the next thing to talk about is you've got two oil seals. This is a crankshaft oil seal, and it goes in towards the pressure, which is coming this way, with the spring face down. It gets pressed in there, and then it gets locked in with this to keep it from popping out. Okay, that's important. The point seal goes in with the pressure face up. In other words, the spring up towards the pressure, oil pressure, which is inside here trying to get out. Now this guy, since it's like this and it has to go over the end of the camshaft, if you just put it on, put it in here and put the cover on, the camshaft is going to catch on this lip. And it'll catch on the lip, it'll fold it in, the spring will come out, and you won't have any pressure sealant at all. It'll get ruined. So what they did is it gave us a special tool that fits on the end of the camshaft, and when you slide it in, it slides in gently over this, comes in and goes onto the camshaft without disturbing the oil seal. So this tool is really, 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 really important. So let's go over to the other side of the bike and I'll show you how it goes on. That's the end of the camshaft there. And the tool, which is right here, goes on here. So that when the seal comes over it, it'll slide on smoothly without catching. All right, so we just leave that there. And what I actually do is I'll take a little fingerful of grease and stick it on there just to make sure it slides over really smoothly. As Kevin and I are wont to say, there's always time for lubricant. And if you've ever seen the movie Evolution, which is one of the funniest movies in the world, that's a line out of that movie, Evolution. There's always time for lubrication. So anyway, like so. Now let's go back over to the desk for a moment. And I'll be back in just a second. All right, so I'm going to put the pressure regulator together first. Then I'm going to put the seals in the timing cover, and then we'll start reassembling the whole thing. Now, just in case I showed you how to put the bolts in this way to make sure that you had sufficient thread sticking through. Well, basically, you can do it this way too, which is the real way to do it. Make sure that you have bolt thread sticking through. And once you do that, I can't begin to tell you how old this is. I don't know, probably 15 years old. But then I just stick the bolts in there, and when I put this cover on, all I have to do is grab and poke, grab and poke. So anyway, let's do this first. There is absolutely no reason to not put just a tad bit of, excuse me, sealer on there. I mean, you don't need it. Probably somebody says don't do it, but what the heck. I'm going to do this top part. I'll do this when it's on the bike. It's easier. But I'll tighten this now. And in case you're wondering what I did, I took it over and put it in the vise and tightened down the dome. And then this, I'll just sit here and I will put it into the side cover when the side cover's on the bike. Just easier. All right, so let's flip this guy over. Remember, this guy goes towards the pressure, and once again, there's no reason not to put a tad bit of grease on it to make it slide in easier. I could take this to the press and try to do it in the press, but frankly, there's no real, with a rounded surface down here, it's difficult. So if I did enough of these, I'd make some sort of bracket for this and put them in the press. I don't do that many. I'll bet you AMR has a mount for every single model of every single year. So when they do their modification, it's a whole lot easier than this. Okay, so that one's done. This one, once again, goes in with the pressure side facing in because the pressure's here. Let's put just a tad bit of grease on it. If they'd made this hole go straight through, this could be replaced from the other side. But they didn't. You may notice that I have ground the edge down on this for a reason. Nicely seated all the way around. So these are in. This is ready. Let's go mount this. Okay? Let's work from this way so you get a better view, hopefully. I'll be back. All right, let's put in the studs for the oil pump. I'm going to put just a tad drop of Loctite medium strength on each one. Stud drivers, they're really nice. Go on the stud, lock onto it, let you tighten it in, tighten it out. All right. All right, now, as I said, I just put a ghost of anaerobic sealer on here. Please line the holes up carefully. Don't put this on wrong. Sometimes I wish I put the stud in last. I have a mosquito here who's bugging the heck out of me. I am not going to tear this gasket. I am not. I am not. I am not. All right, so make sure all the holes line up, okay? This gasket just doesn't fit. Huh. All right, I'm gonna go cut a little bit out of the top of that hole with an X-Acto knife. I'll be back. All right, I use the X-Acto knife to take just a tad bit off of the top and bottom of these stud holes. Let's see if they go in any easier this time. Oh, that ought to be just fine. Now that doesn't affect the efficacy of the gasket itself because the holes still line up. Okay, so holes still line up just fine, thank you. This guy goes on here like so. Ah, come on, you came off, you miserable so-and-so. This guy's engaging here. You can see him turn as I put him down. Okay, now let's go get our modified nuts. I'm going to put our star washers on here. I guess it wouldn't hurt to put a drop of this on there. Just a drop. This is medium 243. Exactly torqued correctly. And torqued correctly. Okay, everything's tight. Comfy duty. Ready for the cover. Got grease on here. Okay. All right, there are as many opinions as to how to seal this timing cover gasket as there are, I don't know, as there are. There are the folks who say, I always put the gasket on dry. I've never had a leak. There are the folks who say, I just use grease. I grease the gasket, put it on, and I've never had a leak. There are those who say, I put gasket material on the cover and casting, engine casting, but not on the gasket, and I've never had a leak. And then there's I always use melted Hershey bars for gasket sealer, and I've never had a leak. I subscribe to the no dry surfaces theory. I put gasket sealer on the engine casting. I put gasket sealer on the cover. I put gasket sealer on both sides of the gasket. So there are no dry surfaces going together. Every single surface has gasket sealer on it. And I've never had a leak. You pick your way and you make your choices, and whatever works for you is a wonderful thing. But I am the way more than needed gasket sealer school, especially around the bottom. I put an extra thick seal down here and down here because that's where the oil pools when the bike is parked. So I always put a little bit extra down at the bottom and very light at the top. So anyway, let's slam this guy on and get the bolts and start putting it together. One of these has got to go. There you go. Special tool in place. Gasket sealer in place. Seals lubricated with grease. And I'm going to double check that. I'm going to go do that again. Okay, as I said, seals greased a little bit, everything in place. Let's see if we can get it to drop on cleanly. And there you go. As the Brits like to say, Bob's your uncle. So, let's just put bolts in and tighten them down. And I always start at the bottom and tighten them up like this because I want this bottom part sealed really tight. So I'm just going to snug these. I am going to go across. All right, I got called away. Let's resume where I was. Okay, we're down here. Let's see. Going around getting the bottom ones first. They're snug. This is a very gentle impact tool. Starting at the bottom, working our way around. I'm using a short handle ratchet on purpose. I don't want to be in here torquing these things down and stripping them. All right. Good. Now we can pull this off. All right, so we've got the timing cover in place. Let's put the pressure relief valve on and the oil line going up to the rockers. That new gasket likes to get caught. All right, that should be pretty good.
What's going on, boss?
Oh, hello there. Goodies. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Take a quick photo of it and all set. All set.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
All right. Love UPS. All right, this is a good place to stop and take a break. It's, gosh, what is it? 11:20. I don't even remember when I started this, but the timing cover's on. I can put the ignition in here, run the wires, and then drop the tank on, put oil and everything. I'm going to give it 24 hours for all the gasket to coagulate. And I'm going to take a break now, and I might come back later. Then again, I might not. So that's about what we're going to do this morning.